Coach, back on the Bossman show, friend of the show, coach of the Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks out of the MEAC Conference. My man, the one only Jason Crafton with me. Coach, what is due, man, up on the Eastern Shore, man?
Bossman down there representing the ATL, man. You guys put a good one on my Sixers, man. I don't know. I'm a little reluctant to be here with the hurting that your Hawks put on my Sixers, man. But always a great time to come and catch up with you, man. Watch out for the fire alarm in the back. We got a little fire drill going on here, but all is well down here at the shore.
No doubt, Coach. Look, Coach Crafton, look at here, man. We talked literally about 2 weeks before your season got canceled last year. Like, we talked, things was looking good, then it got canceled like 2 weeks later. So take us back to that point for you. When you got that news, had to tell your players, your staff, and everybody getting up for a season, it ain't happening.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough timeline of events. You know, I think when we first did our podcast, I think we had just canceled the non-conference season. So we knew at that time, I think when we were talking, that we weren't going to play non-conference games. So we were kind of getting prepared to play, MEAC only games, and then, we got shut down entirely. So it was a dynamic experience. It was a dynamic challenge that made us stronger, to be able to handle all the challenges that came with that in terms of just kind of being there for our players. And that initial part where they kind of found out. And then the second part was when, having to watch teams play when we couldn't play, but we've got amazing guys here. And I feel like they really fought through. And the guys that are back here on campus right now in the summer, and some of the dynamic recruits we've been able to bring in during this time, the guys are excited to get back to playing basketball, and we're excited to have a season this coming year.
About that, I know if you took away football from me and I saw other kids playing football from me, I would have probably left Tennessee State in a heartbeat and found somewhere to go.
I think you saw when Cookman announced before we canceled, and they had like 6 guys leave right away. Ended up losing, I think, 8 guys from their program. When we announced, we had some turnover. It's part of it in that type of climate when you make a decision like that, which is safety related, financial related, so many layers to it. In this season, we saw teams that tried to play that had to pull out, like Howard. I saw my man Kenny out there. They were trying to do it, and then they had to stop. And you had situations like us and Bethune-Cookman in our league that didn't try at all. So what we did during that time was we really tried to do a lot of focusing on our guys' mental health and trying to bring in a company called Team 100 that did a lot of seminars with our guys, talking about sleep deprivation, also talk about time management. We had a financial guy come in and talk to our guys. When college guys get the Pell Grant, they get all those. I mean, they go spend them on some Jordans. We had a financial guy come in and talk to our guys about some of the fundamentals and the basics of investing and saving, so they could put their money to use. So over 4 years, they could have, some increased value when they graduate and some earnings during this time. So those things were cool. And then we also had some different leadership series where one of my main man, my guy from back in the day, Kyle Lowry, who I coached at Villanova, came in and spoke to our guys and gave them some encouraging words and tried to just keep them upbeat. We played Jeopardy via Zoom. We did different type of games and stuff like that. We did everything we possibly could to keep our guys engaged. But I do think they enjoyed Kyle Lowry coming in, and shout out to him, former guard I coached at Villanova back in the day, who's NBA champion, NBA All-Star, and an NBA legend now in his own right. He gave us a great boost of encouragement to our program. So challenging time, no doubt about it. But we found our best way to get through. I even went back to school, boss man. I took a class this spring, a continuing education class called Changing the Culture. Change the culture, change the game, which is something that we're definitely trying to do here. Shout out to Dr. Chico Caldwell.
No doubt. And think about this, your Sixers. If they gave up Thibault and Maxey and Danny Green, they could add Kyle Lowry for that run and possibly could have beat the Hawks. I'm just saying.
Ooh, man. Man. If Kyle Lowry was on that Sixers team, that would have been an interesting addition right there. It would have been curious to see what they would have lost, though. What would they have lost to get that acquisition? That would have been interesting to see. So, but yeah, man, that's a piece that would have been a nice one.
Well, I got there from good sources. It was Thibault, Maxey, Danny Green, first round draft pick that Masai wanted for Kyle Lowry, and they said no.
They're probably seeing that, Danny's, but they're not even. I don't know if they're keeping Danny right now. Matisse is a good young player that's got a bright future defensively, and he's starting to develop offensively. So, it's always, the trading game is always interesting, man. It's always interesting.
Yes, we'll get to that too, man. And so for you, man. So, Coach, going back to school, man. For me, I'll be real with you. I'm in school too. I go to a class on Saturdays to learn about African.
Okay.
So I learn about our people. So I gotta be honest with you, trying to take tests, man, read more books than I've ever read in my life, man. A little different for me. I got my master's degree back 10 years ago, but I've been out of school of reading to comprehend for a test. Now, I read just to read casually, but not read to be tested on it. So I feel, so how was it having to take tests and write papers? I know I'm not really back in the groove yet, but how is it for you?
I tell you what, Dr. Chico Caldwell does an amazing job with this class. It's for especially somebody like you and me that's just getting back acclimated to going to school. When you think about the dynamic of a canceled season, we wanted to fill the gaps, not just for our players and have a lot of just engaging things for them. I encourage my staff to also do something, to better yourselves. And for me, what I did was I really taken that class. So the way the class was, it was very engaging. It was very interactive. There was homework, but it was almost like your homework was preparing presentations and to come back to the class on a Zoom and present. And it was right up my alley in terms of being a coach and being able to do it in that manner. So I wasn't exactly writing 10 to 15 page papers like you might be, but I was putting together, PowerPoints and things like that to be able to present in the class sessions and work with groups and small groups and large groups. And it was cool. It was a great experience. Learned a lot of applicable stuff that you can apply to not just being a coach, but also in administrative affairs in terms of dealings and institutions and just the battle when you're trying to change your culture, trying to create a new climate for success and creative ways to do that. And that was one of the most benefits of that class.
And it's funny for me, I'm actually going to do a paper on Haiti and the Haitian Revolution, which look what's happening right now. So all this goes back when Toussaint and Dessalines. So it's crazy how the current events in Haiti tie into what my paper is right now about the Haitian Revolution for my class. It's crazy.
No question, man. No question. And Dr. Caldwell that runs the class, he's got a long-standing history also with HBCUs and HBCU administrators. And just, as with this big push for HBCU climates and recruiting in basketball and academia, there's such a big time push right now in that climate. And I'm excited to be a part of that movement right now and trying to, help Maryland Eastern Shore, in our basketball program, a situation that, as we've talked, that's, hasn't had much success. The last 30 years, it's a 28% winning percentage, with a lot of turnover with head coaches here. So we're really trying to, take a lot of those practices we learned in there and just take all the experiences that I've had at Villanova with the Philadelphia 76ers and other places I've been and try to find a way to bring this program together, inspire a new family atmosphere with our alumni and hopefully get some progress on the basketball court in some coming years.
And what's crazy is going to year 3 with a lost year, so you have a lost year here for year 2. And what my thing about it is this, you still have to have something to build your brand because you're starting from scratch again. So people don't understand.
No
so I'm hoping that the powers that be will give you opportunity for you to grow because, I'm like, look, my man's in year 3, but he started from scratch again.
Well, it's funny. Sometimes I walk around and I say, I introduce myself. How you doing? I'm Jason Crafton. I'm the new men's basketball coach because at the end of the day, JR, we are back in year 1.
Yes.
We might be year 3 on paper, but we're year 1, especially in the dynamic of a situation that's just hasn't had much success, right? So it's been at the bottom of Division 1 for an extremely long period of time. And we're trying to get out of that gutter. So when you set the stage our first year and we lead the we're one of the leaders in defense in our league. We break the school record for blocks in a season. we're top 10 in the first semester in steals per game. And we showed some progress, man. We took North Carolina Central to overtime. We had some really key wins over Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, and just had some really great things to build off of. And then to not play obviously puts us in a tough spot to grow off of that, right? So where we've tried to grow is just in our relationships with our players and them having an understanding of what we're trying to do. So now when we kind of get back to it, we are going to take a step back athletically, but hopefully we made some strides mentally. But you never know until you actually get to the competition, right? So that's what challenges you. So we're ready to get back to that. But it's going to be a journey. We're back to year one, maybe a little bit further behind than when we started because of these dynamics. But we got to just keep working hard and pushing forward, and that's what we're striving to do.
And Jason, let me ask you, brother, how much film did you watch of other teams to kind of pick up some things defensively, schematically wise, maybe you want to implement in your system going forward here? Because I know having all that time off, you get to look at all kind of games, different kind of films, study who's doing what and how, and see maybe can apply to your guys, because each team is different, but you can kind of get some things to maybe say, hey, this might work for this guy, this set works for this guy. So how is that for you and your staff, kind of looking at film and other guys around the country?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, I tried to not recreate the wheel over and over again. I wanted to stay true to some of the things that we did implement with the guys that we had and get some carryover with that. So as much film as I watched of other teams in the league, I wanted to get a feel for, what other teams were still doing in the MEAC to kind of make sure that the scouts that we did for them prior were still going to be consistent. Then you've got some new coaches coming to the league for next year. So there's going to be some turnover in that regard, but, didn't really do too much in terms of changing of what we were going to do. Maybe just tightening it up and coming up with new creative ways to implement those things. But, we're going to still play a similar style offensively, a similar style defensively. Hopefully we won't just have a lot of great movement and passing going on offense where everyone's like, oh man, they run that cool NBA style offense. And then we missed the shot. Hopefully now we'll be able to run some of that offense, and we've added some better shooters to be able to complete the plays, and then defensively, we want to pick up where we left off in terms of being one of the top tier defensive teams in the league. So I wouldn't say too many changes. There's more creative ways in terms of how to implement things that we always were trying to do.
And I know it's cliche, but I tell you all the time, it's make or miss. In NBA, college basketball, ultimately, it's putting that ball in the basket, playing hard, and energy and effort. That's what it boils down to. I know it's cliche, and I know reporters don't understand that. Because I'm in the media, but I play ball, so I'm like, I know what not to ask somebody. I play myself. I don't ask dumb questions on these post-game Zooms and post-game. Boy, they are painful. But you get what I'm saying. Like, people need to understand it's a lot that goes into it, but mainly it's make or miss, energy and effort.
You got to make shots, no question about it. I think sometimes the way it comes off when people say make or miss, I tell our college players not to listen to that too much because the NBA game, having coached there, is different than the college game, and I've been at both levels. So the difference in the NBA game is the dynamic way in which you can defend. So you can't have the same help side. You can't load up and have somebody standing in the paint and just crowding the driving lanes for LeBron James. If he feels like he can rip it baseline, the 3 seconds in the key defensive rule is going to prohibit you from having somebody standing there just in position to take charges or load up against him. So in the NBA, you're on more of an island to be able to guard guys one-on-one. In college, defense does matter at a higher level. Yes. You can actually do some things schematically and be able to get some stops, get some scores out in transition. So if you're missing shots on a night, you still can find ways to be competitive in the basketball game. At the end of the day, you do got to make shots. But in the NBA level, it's a little bit more make or miss than it is at the college level. So it is two different games.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And also, you got back in the broadcast booth. I saw you, man. You're trying to take my gig, man. Take my gig, what I'll be doing, man. So how's that getting back in the broadcasting booth, man, talking about the Sixers, doing the G League and doing the Pop Sixer stuff, man? I'm telling you, I saw some clips of you. You did a good job, man. I'm scared now.
I appreciate it, man. A lot of people, it's funny because, a lot of people don't realize I went to school for broadcasting. So I have a degree in communications and broadcasting. I had a radio show in college. We launched a nice podcast, a Hone Your Craft podcast. We teamed up with women's coach Fred Basham. We did some pretty cool things here on the shore and having some creative guests come in. Jeff Goodman came on. former NBA player Alvin Williams, Ed Pickney. We've had some cool guests, Monica McNutt from ESPN. So we did some dynamic features on those people and just had some great episodes. And then the other thing is for me, I got a chance to go and do some of the G League games, the pregame, the halftime, and the postgame show. And that was really cool because I got a chance to kind of put some scouting report stuff out for the upcoming opponent. And then at halftime, I would be able to kind of see how that kind of went and be able to make comments on both teams. And then the postgame show, have some fun and do some highlights and things like that. And did a pretty good job. And then the Sixers brought me in to do some of the 76ers live countdown. And I had a segment called Inside the Matchup. So that was cool. We kind of highlighted some things like your guy, Trae Young down there kicking our butts, and talking about creative ways to stop him. So had a lot of fun with the broadcast today, man. I appreciate you, the kind words and enjoying it. And I think some people were surprised that I had that layer. But hey, man, in this business, you got to have more layers, man. You got to have layers.
yeah. Hey, for me, I'm also a DJ as well, so I DJ on the side. So when COVID goes away, I can go back in and get some more gigs in the club, man, making money, spinning them records.
Hey, we got to get the Bossman down for Hawk Hysteria, man. We got to get you on the 1 and 2s, getting it rocking and rolling, man. We got to get the smoke out. We got to have the DJ booth set up, man. We got to get it. Basketball is back, man. So we got to have a big time Hawk Hysteria.
Hey, I'll be on the show for that. Hey, I love to throw it down the music for the people. I have everybody from age 60 to 18 jamming because I got it for you, man. I got it for you.
Nice, man. Nice. Good stuff, man. Hey, you got layers, man. You got the Bossman show going. You got the DJ thing going. You're like an agent too, man. You're all right. You're out here. You know what I'm saying? Recognizing the challenges that we're going through. Promoting extra time on the contract,
Yes.
I got.
Hey, look, company, I went to school for business, Tennessee State Business Administration. So so I got the talking part down. I need to go to school for that part of it, but the business side of it, I got you. And I'll be honest, I'll do my own contracts. And I'll make them be very favorable for me for sure.
No question, man. But now you recognize the difference of what we're going through here and what we inherited and what's been the history here and obviously the dynamic of what just happened in terms of not playing. So you're somebody that pays a keen attention to HBCU and MEAC basketball. So the journey here at Eastern Shore. So I know you understand, what we're up against, and it's going to take time. And that's one of the things I tell fans all the time is that, be encouraged by the work that we're doing here and grinding, but also understand that this is going to be a process. It's going to take time and it's not going to be a overnight success. With that being said, I really love the guys that we have. We got good players, man, good people. They're here up here this summer working hard and trying to get back to this thing, man. But it's going to be a transition as we get back into competing, no doubt about it.
And what are your thoughts on this, man? Like, the MEAC has lost schools, man. Like A&T's gone, Hampton's gone, Savannah State's gone now. The two Florida schools going to the SWAC. So it's down to 8 schools in the MEAC, man, and I'm worried because I told you this privately. I'm worried because I know the schools in the league are looking elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of rumors going on right now. So what's facts, what's rumors? I try not to pay too much attention to it. We've got enough to worry about here in terms of this grind and trying to build this program up, which is an everyday, 24 hours a day operation. Whether even if you're not on the clock, you're on the clock in your mind, just constantly coming up with new ideas and new things to present to try to inspire change. But with that being said, with the league, I think, it is a tough time in terms of us losing teams, but it's also an exciting time when you think about it because there's new opportunities to bring in new teams over the next few years and kind of change the landscape of the MEAC and give it some new flavor. And also when you're coming out of a COVID and a pandemic type situation, to not have to get on planes and travel to Florida to play Cookman, to play FAMU, even though everybody probably look forward to those trips, it's more cost effective right now in situations where everybody's coming off of, losing a lot of money last year, so it makes sense for us in our league right now to be more streamlined into teams, in the, I guess we would call it the Mid-Atlantic region, in the DMV and then right there, just touching North Carolina Central. So that's where we are right now. So it can be looked at one or two ways. I'm kind of a half glass full guy,
No doubt.
The league is tight. It's a tight 8-team league right now. You got your usual suspects in North Carolina Central, Norfolk State. Morgan's on the rise. Howard's doing some great things over there. but I think it's going to be wide open in many ways with the roster turnover, the new coaches coming in, and all the things that we're going through right now for some new teams to be able to try to make some noise.
Now, how has it been for us scheduling wise? I know that the guaranteed money is not what it used to be. And so how has it been trying to get guaranteed games for you guys, knowing you have to raise money for the university to kind of make up for some of the things happened the prior year? So how has it been for you when you're still trying to get games for you guys, man?
Well, it's no secret that Maryland Eastern Shore has always been on the heavy end of the stick in terms of bringing in, some of the higher end of guarantee game monies and having to play more than most other schools. But that's the dynamic of the situation that we're in right now. But I think that it's a dynamic for us. It was a challenge, but at the same time, we didn't play this year, so people were aggressively looking to play us and to pay us. So we weren't a team that played. So I think that we were able to get some numbers that to get us to a certain place, guarantee game wise and financially for our institution, that might have been a little bit harder for other two teams this year that did play. So people were definitely looking at us saying, "Hey, let's try to get those guys. They didn't play, so let's get."
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, we were able to negotiate numbers that I think other people weren't able to negotiate. So I think we came pretty close to getting our number our goal number that we needed to bring in.
I always love listening to those negotiation calls because sometimes I'm in offices when those are going on. I'm just sitting back, hearing it out. I'm saying, ask for more. Ask for more. They got more.
Well, you can always get more as it gets closer and closer to the end of the summer, and now those numbers start hiking up $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So it's it's a market right now. It's a market that I'm hoping we're able to change, and hopefully down the line we're sitting here talking about we can't get guarantee games because no one wants to play us. Like Norfolk State right now has established themselves, as a program that nobody really wants to pay them to play because they've come in and they've won so many times in guarantee games and they've had success in postseason. So it's hard for them to get games. We want to be able to get to that type of place where it's like, I got to go in and say, hey, we couldn't get that number because nobody wants to play. That's something that's never happened here, but we're going to work hard to get to that place at some point.
And brothers in ATL, go play for my man Jason, man. I'm telling y'all, it'll be cool. I got you. Hey, look, the Atlanta Hawks, the UMES Hawks. It's all Hawks Nation, baby. Come on now.
Hey, man. Hey,
help my man out. Go play for my man. I'm telling y'all to do it. Go play for my man.
If you a guard, you got some handles, man. You like to play in some pick and roll action. You know what I mean? Like you like to spread the floor. If you're a big, you like to run the floor and you like to catch it, throw it down on those people with two hands, let them know about it. And if you're anybody that likes to defend, that's the guys that we love, man. Guys that are serious about this game. Our players right now in the library, study hall in the summertime, man. Serious about your books. Come on up and give us a holler, man. Come on down here to Eastern Shore, man. Beautiful place. The sun is out, close to the beach, and basketball is back.
And Jason, let me ask you this, man. You got to watch the Hawks for 7 games. What are your impressions of our roster, man, as a whole?
You guys got a young and upcoming roster, man. I think you're able to make some strides because of your youth and your ability to shoot the basketball. But let's not take anything away from Trae Young because, we know that that's the engine that spearheads this whole dynamic team that you guys have. His swag, his toughness, his competitive drive, his ability to shoot the basketball and create off the bounce for other guys is impressive. I was a little disappointed that the Sixers didn't come out and pressure him as much with as much consistency to kind of get the ball out of his hands. They had a lot of success with that in games when they did, but he's a force to be reckoned with. And then you guys got some blue collar hard hat guys, Capella, to just go out there and get rebounds and just, tough and just kind of, hard work guys, blue collar lunch pail guys. And then you got an array of shooters around Trae so that he can kind of get in there and you can't collapse the defense on him. So really up and coming roster, man. And I'm glad they gave Nate McMillan the head job. What took so long? He could have got the head job way before the season being ended and them having to collaborate. Shout out to Nate McMillan, former Seattle Supersonic, big time 3-point shooter back in the day, on getting that head job.
Now let me ask you this, Coach. Do you give John Collins a max deal at 4 years, 124? When the Hawks, let's go down to Eastern Conference, they're 6th at best next year starting.
I don't know if you can give him the max, but I think maintaining the core and the culture and the chemistry is important. So I think you try to find creative ways. You bring them in, sit them down, and try to tell them what the effects of giving him a max deal might do to their ability to expand their roster in a Eastern Conference that's on the rise right now. And just like you said, you see what the Bucks are doing. You know the Sixers, whether they retain Simmons or if they do something on the trade market, you know they're going to make plays. So like you said, they're still not, even though they've been able to compete with those teams, they're not exactly where they want to be at yet. So I think having that sit down with them and just trying to see, and looking at that model that was used in Golden State, to get multiple players in there. Somebody had to take less. Looking at that model when San Antonio put together a lot of guys and somebody had to take less. Tim Duncan sacrificing, I think bringing Trae Young into the equation and letting them be a part of some of those conversations and just recruiting guys to come as well, makes that environment one in which it's like, hey, guys are going to sacrifice so they can put the best team together to win championships. Because at the end of the day, the money's great, but I know those guys feel like they want to, be a part of winning something. So as long as he can get paid and still have that chance, hopefully they can figure that out.
I'm looking at the roster. We got Herter coming up next year, needing his an extension. You also got to extend eventually Cam Reddish or DeAndre Hunter. Now forget about Onyeka Okongwu. So it's like you might got to pay 4 more guys. If you give JC the max at $31 million a year, with Trae Young getting the max as well, the Hawks have been in the luxury tax for a while. I'm only going to pay the luxury tax to be maybe win around the playoffs and be out or lose the first round period. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, just looking at it from GP, I think JC has a ceiling, maybe 40 to 100 million he may go to, but beyond that, he gonna say you can go. Then it's gonna come down to between Herter, Reddish, and Hunter. Who do you pay and keep? Because you can't keep all 3 of those guys. And Okongwu's gonna take Capella's place eventually. So I know what that's about. It's tricky.
You got me with my general manager hat on right now. So I'm pulling up the stats and I'm kind of looking at some of this stuff. And, I think when you look at some of the numbers, it's Collins is not really at 13 points a game, 8-9 rebounds. That's great. But is he demanding max dollars? They just have to be able to put it all together and be able to see how it maps out and be able to, I sure don't want to mess with those numbers right now, in terms of trying to navigate all that type of stuff. But, they're going to go over in some way, shape, or form, and that typically is going to happen. But at the end of the day, they got to make a decision on, is it the best to keep the nucleus together and the chemistry they got, or to try to say, hey, you know what, we can find somebody who can do exactly what you can do. You might be able to bring somebody else in for cheaper, but you don't know if the chemistry is going to still be the same. And that's the risk you run if it takes getting Collins to stay to be max. That's the risk you run into. Can we go get somebody who can give us something similar to that, or do we find the best way to keep this guy so we can keep the chemistry intact? That's where Trae Young becomes a part of this too. And how involved is he in these conversations?
As much as I love JC, that's my guy. I got let him walk to Dallas, Miami, San Antonio, or Sacramento.
But here's what happens. If you do that, then you bring somebody else in, right? So let's play devil's advocate. Okay, you don't give it to him, but you bring somebody else in, right?
Yeah.
Did you see all the other, I've been watching during the COVID, so I saw the Pistons thing. So you saw when the Pistons lost one guy, and who was the guy they brought in, and they just messed everything up. The culture was all messed up, and they got rid of him, and they brought in I just saw this thing.
Talking about Jackson?
Nah. With the bad boy days when they had Isaiah and they had Joe Dumars, and the Sixers had they were on a decline, and they had to get rid of somebody, and they brought somebody in that was Isaiah Thomas's boy. They grew up together, played together in the past, and it helped the chemistry go to another level. What I'm basically getting at is that the chemistry is huge. So you got to make some type of sacrifice. So if they're able to get rid of him and bring somebody in for less, they can't sacrifice the chemistry though. So, because if they get somebody for less, he comes in and now the locker room's all messed up. Well, now you just took a step back and would have made more sense to give Collins the max, if that kept the chemistry intact. So it's a roll of the dice either way you put it.
And I'll be honest with you, and this is something I've said on the record. I wouldn't have gave Gallo $20.5 million to come off the bench. That is me though.
There's a lot of paper.
You know, to come off the bench for $20.5 million. I wouldn't did that. Now, Bogdanovich is definitely a steal at his rate. Chris Dunn will be back on his player option for sure. But it's just certain numbers for me I'm not going to do. See, because
here's what you tell me: the Hawks are generous down there. Maybe I should get my ankles taped and get a little stretch in and get suited up and try to come down there and see if I can get a check.
Yeah, the 6 man making $20.5 million. Gallo's a cool dude, but off the bench of $20.5 million, I don't think so. Not on JR's team, at least. JR's GM. Nah, player.
Team's not playing that.
I'm putting money into my starting five, not so much. Because that was my thoughts. If they're giving Gallo and Bogdan this much money, JC either on the block, he ain't gonna be here next year. Because I'm looking at the cap. Because I know how the Hawks think. The Hawks don't pay the tax unless we're gonna be good. I don't know if it being in 5th, 6th best in the East is gonna make Mr. Wrestler say, "I'll pay the tax for this."
Well, see what happened. You guys saw a dynamic change in the seasons right now. Let's not forget about the fact that they were the underdog and had nothing to lose. When you got nothing to lose, you're playing loose. You know, you got an interim head coach who's, you know what I mean? Like it's like there's no pressure, right? Now, what the Atlanta Hawks are going to have to see now, and this is what they do have to make sure that their roster is as tight as they can possibly get it. You identified some key things in terms of they probably might still have 4th to 6th best talent in the league. Okay. So they're not going to just come out the gates and be 1, 2, or 3. You know, they're going to be in that middle of the pack kind of range. So, but now what's going to be added is the pressure, the expectations. So because based off what they did, so now it's a whole different ball game. I think you also see, with the Sixers, like the pressure and the expectations, of being getting to a certain place, at some points you could see it on film became a little bit overwhelming. Like Ben Simmons isn't shooting that from the free throw line just because that some of that was, related to the pressure, the overwhelming expectations of getting to a certain place. And we got to still remember, it's not like the Sixers have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals at any time in the recent years of this process. They still, as much as we want to say that, and that's my team, haven't been part of that organization, as much as we want to see them there, they still haven't gotten there yet. It's like when Michael Jordan was trying to get past the Detroit Pistons or when everybody was trying to get past the Celtics. Isaiah Thomas was trying to get past the Celtics. There's not that one identifying team. I don't know if the Hawks are that team, but the Sixers haven't made it yet. So, and now the Hawks have to prove that what they just did this year wasn't just like some good luck and just we haven't been here before fun.
Exactly. And I'll just say the matchups worked good for us because we didn't have any teams that put Trae Young in action. The Knicks let them hide on Bullock in the corner. The Sixers let them hide on Thibault and Danny Green when he was playing, or hide on Ben Simmons. That shouldn't happen. And the Bucks caught him on the injury because the Bucks were letting him hide on Tucker. Because Nate's gonna hide Trae Young, he's gonna try to hide him always. So you have to put him into action. So you have to put whoever he's guarding, put him into action just to get run dummy action to get Trae switched on to your main guy. Like the Suns would definitely let him. Okay, go. You had on Bridges. Okay, we'll bring him up and do a 1-3 pick and roll to get you off on Chris Paul. So that's the part of Doc, Thibodeau, and Bud. I just like everybody knows in the league. If you want to beat the Hawks, put Trae. You make him defend in the action.
The Coach JR right now, man.
Force the Hawks to double or hedge, and to get it out of your hands, to get him back to where he wants to be.
No question about it. And then you got Embiid getting injured in the series a little bit, and that affected some things. I thought the game when Dwight Howard had to start threw the Sixers off a little bit because there was a game. Anytime you got an elite player in a game time decision, you're all over the place because you might have 2 game plans. You got the game plan if this guy's starting, you got the game plan if this guy's starting, you know what I mean? So it's always interesting when you see that. It gives the other team an advantage to kind of get a mental edge because you're coming in more prepared. When it's a game time decision, you're never as fully prepared as you would like to be. So that definitely had some effects. But as much as you love your Hawks, you know that there's 2 games out there that were just flat out done, over, game done.
Of course, I agree. I agree, and I'm gonna tell you this. Is what I said on the radio. The Sixers going to their bench was different in the series. Had Doc tightened up the rotation and not playing 9, 10 minutes like a regular season, a game 82 in the regular season, I feel like had he shortened the bench up and it's when with his top 6, 7 guys, 8, 7 guys, say, hey, look, I can't do this. Because every big league the Sixers got, the bench lost it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many layers to it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm not going to question a man that's that's done it for as long as he has and put him in that position. But I mean, like, the players still got to make plays.
Yes.
They still got to make plays. And one thing I do got to say is I thought Embiid, with through adversity physically, really did try to. He really did. I mean, he was out there. My heart was pounding like crazy.
Same
here.
Like
when he was diving for balls and he was, putting his body on the line, I was very impressed with his maturity as a leader in that moment to come and show out, man. And there was some games that they didn't close out that hopefully they learned from. See, Ben and Joe are mature now. They're older guys now. So you could even see the way they owned it in the press conferences. They know what happened. They know what happened. They know what's up. They know what they got to do. And if they're still together, hopefully they can still do. They can try to get on the path of doing some special things. They've been together for a good amount of time now. So if you're sticking them with these guys, then you got to be all in with them for the good and the bad because they're maturely handling adversity in a positive manner.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens in the Eastern Conference. I'm looking forward to it because I know Indiana will be better with Carlisle. Indiana will be better. The Wizards may be going to a rebuild. Do the Bulls sign Lonzo Ball or another point guard? So I'm looking forward to this offseason to see what happens because I'm like, okay, the dominoes going to be falling here real quick. And I know Lou Will wants to be back in Atlanta again. And I was shocked. Hey, Lou Will put on a show up there for the Sixers fans. He turned out to bet the clock that one game up there, man.
He looked like 5 years ago, Lou Will. He looked like, he came in the press conference swagged out with the chain. I was like, all right, man, let him know. We still got a little bit left in the tank. Show it to him. But now, JR, you don't went from radio personality, host to talent evaluator, all right, DJ, sports agent, and crunch time playoff coach and general manager in this one session. Many layers to the man, JR, man, boss man in the house.
Yes. Hey, Coach, if they would the Hawks hired me today, I would help them in so many different ways other than radio. If they just gave me a call. I got you, guys. Hey, look, my hometown team, I would do anything to help the Hawks. I remember going to watch play in the old Omni.
Yeah. You're going to throw back.
In the Omni, because, Coach, I'll be real with you. I couldn't afford tickets to the Hawks games. I was in the hood, so I know how to stick in the Omni and get in the Omni and watch the games.
I could hear you announcing the players, you know what I mean? Like, I could hear you calling number 11, Trae Young, you know what I'm saying? I could hear you kind of doing the pregame. I could hear you doing all that stuff, man. Good stuff, man. Love the passion. I wish I could be as passionate about that about my Knicks. My Knicks, growing up in New York, I've always been a diehard Knicks fan. Shout out to the Knicks for getting back to the playoffs, man. But hopefully we can kind of get this thing right in New York and and I mean for New York Knicks to not be in the playoffs, oh man, it was good to see the Garden, rocking again this year. It's been so long. But gotta see my Knicks keep pushing forward, man. Shout out to the Knicks.
I was a Knicks fan for a little while. I'm gonna tell you why. In '91, at Coach Allen's basketball camp in Nashville, I met Anthony Mason. 4 years old, 91. I met Mace.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Here's my New York Knicks story. So think about this for a second. So it's like, if you said that was 1991?
Yes, 4 years old for me.
I don't remember the year. It was in the early 90s. I was at a USBL, United States Basketball League game. And I'm watching this game. I think the game might have been at like Stony Brook University. And I'm in the stands. I'm probably like 9, 10 years old, maybe. I'm watching this game, and I had my dad bring me to this game, and like nobody's there. Like I'm just a basketball guru. I'm looking at the roster, and there's this guy out there who's just playing his heart out. He's diving for loose balls. He's taking charges. He's going baseline. He's going chest to chest, dunking on people. He's smacking the floor. He's in the huddles, animated and talking to his teammates. And I left and I said, I don't know who that guy is, but he's going to be really good one day. And I kept that program. And down the line later, that was John Starks.
Wow. John Starks.
Playing in like the USBL. He had a crazy journey, played junior college basketball, played like he had a crazy journey to get to that place. And then he was able to get to the NBA. So when everybody saw him doing what he was doing for the Knicks, his journey to get there, he played with so much onion, so much toughness, so much passion because of his journey. He got a dynamic journey, man. Shout out to John Starks, man. One of my favorite players of all time. You know, I know he's not a premier starting guy and all that type of stuff, but like, hey, if you're in New York and you say the dunk, you know that's when John Starks went baseline and went side like this, and Jordan came in there and he said, come on, man, let's go. And he threw it down.
And I'm going to tell you, I miss the old Knicks Oregon. The new Oregon ain't what the old Oregon was in Madison Square Garden. The new one ain't as good as the old one was.
Oh, yeah, with the dun, 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 dun,
yes.
Dun, dun.
Yes. And my man Ray playing the tunes on the old Oregon, too.
Yeah.
Ain't the same no more. It's like, nah, this ain't the old Garden Oregon how it used to be. I miss the old one back when I was growing up.
Yeah. Yep. Back in the cheap seats, man. We used to get like the $10 seats and be in the back row, man, all the way up top. Though we were doing it big, man. We at the Knicks game, we can't see nothing, but we in the top row, the $10 seats. You know, back in the day, doing it, man. But Pat Ewing, Charles Oakley, Mark Jackson. You know what I mean? Like we had, Anthony Mason. Like that was a team that New York could resonate with. We could, it was blue collar, tough. We got after you. You know, they just couldn't get over the hump and win the whole thing, man. But shout out to the old school Knicks, man. That's still they still got my heart.
Yes, like I said, 4 years old, man, me and Anthony Mason, because my mom went to Tennessee State to get her master's degree. So I was like, I was be at basketball camp in the YSP program. So getting to meet Anthony Mason, Carlos Rogers as a young dude.
Yeah.
So I was a Knicks fan because he went to Tennessee State where my mom was school at. Now I was a Hawks fan too. I love my Atlanta Hawks. I like Hawks get, but I like because he knew Mace knew my mother, and and Coach Allen let me come to camp. And I was a 4-year-old who coached at Eastern Shore as well. So like, hey, I was like, shoot, it's all good. I'm gonna shoot for the Knicks and the Hawks. Oh, then we played the Hawks. I shoot for the Hawks, of course. My dad wouldn't.
Yeah.
You are Atlanta Hawks, and not a New York Knick. What say do you in Georgia? Okay, then I got you.
Got you, man. Got you. Good stuff, brother.
Last one I got for you, Coach. If you've been from New York, man, what's up with the Nets, man? Because they was over in Jersey and on Long Island. So all these Nets fans, bandwagoners, or Knicks fans that got frustrated with and became Nets fans, what is it with this Nets fan base now?
Well, I think, I mean, if you think about the dynamic of New York sports, so we got 3 football teams in the state of New York, and the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, New York Giants. Then we got 2 that play in the same facility. The Jets and the Giants play in the same facility. And then in the basketball, we had that separation with the Nets being in Jersey and the Knicks being in New York. But the Knicks, when the Nets came to New York, and they kind of created that Barclays Center in the heart of Brooklyn. I mean, right there, smack middle in the heart, man. Like, and the gear they came out with, just the whole Brooklyn swag, I think it really just like touched the hearts of New York and Brooklyn and people. And they also came in with a better team. They came into New York with a better team than New York had and being in New York all that time. So people were tired of seeing the Knicks lose. So they switched jerseys real fast and went to being a part of the Nets. Then you had Jay-Z supporting them a little bit too. I mean, like it just everybody switched gears. That's why it was great to see the Knicks get back to the playoffs so we could kind of get this thing back to where it needs to be. Because as cool as Barclays is, it's really update. It's nice. It's a cool place. There's still no place like the Garden. I agree we got to get that Oregon back because the new Oregon doesn't have the same effect. But there's still no place like the Garden.
It sounds like a MIDI synth kind of Oregon, like it's MIDI. Like, now, Coach, I'm going to go deep level for you. I took classes in music too. So that's a MIDI synth Oregon that they're using now. It's not as good as the old school with the pipes.
Yeah.
Like, like, man, look, so,
Yeah.
Like my
no
man,
question,
right?
Man, no
And
question.
also, the Hawks stole your Oregon too. You notice that the Hawks game also had the defense in the Knicks Oregon too sometimes. You notice that?
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Did you pick up on the Hawks? My man Sir Foster, he learned it from Ray, but yeah, he mixes in the Knicks defense Oregon too down in the Hawks games as well.
Hey man, a lot of stuff gets stolen from New York, man. Sorry, we just throw ideas out there and let everybody live off them. You know what I mean? That's the heart of the city.
No doubt. Hey, Coach Jason Crafton, we covered a lot today, brother. This was fun, man. Let's do this again more often, my guy, for real.
For sure, man. Love catching up with you, man. Let's do something else, but as the summer comes to an end and we get ready for preseason or something before the MEAC, whatever you want to do, brother. But always appreciative of jumping on your show. Love what you do, man. And learned a lot about you as well today, man.
Yes, indeed. All good, brother. Hey, have me on your show. I'll come on your show and talk about my life journey and the Hogs, whatever we talk about. I can cover finances with you too, money, politics. I got it all for you, man.
The Hone Your Craft podcast. Everybody be ready. JR, aka the Bossman, is jumping on. We're gonna do this collaboration, and we're gonna make it big.
No doubt, Coach. Hey, you be safe, brother. Talk to you real soon, my guy.
I appreciate you, bro.
No doubt.